Can you see it twice? That's our title today for the Wonder Files podcast. I'm your host, Mary Trainer, and I'm so glad that you're here with us today for this adventure. If you drive far enough east of Tucson, past the last streetlight, past the familiar rules of neighborhoods and mailboxes, the desert begins to feel different. Not empty, just watchful. Somewhere out there, pressed against stone and silence, sits or once sat a structure locals still argue about. They call it the Redfield House. And the first mystery is simple. Was it ever there at all? There's too much story about it to think that it never existed at all, so we're going to look a bit more at its story and you decide. The story goes like this. In the mid-20th century, a reclusive man named Redfield, sometimes John, sometimes James, depending on who's telling the story, built a home directly into the rock of a southern Arizona canyon. Not a cabin, not a shack, a house. Stone walls blended into cliff face, narrow openings instead of windows, a place designed not to stand on the land, but to disappear into it. Neighbors were rare, visitors rarer. Redfield didn't want attention, and yet attention found him anyway. Sometimes some say he was a miner. Others insist he was an engineer. A few claim he was hiding from debt, from grief, from people who never stopped looking for him from the law. And here's where the stories begin to diverge. One version says Redfield lived there peacefully for years, venturing into town only when supplies ran low. He spoke little. He watched everything. Another version says he rarely lived there at all, that the house was abandoned almost as soon as it was built. And then there's kind of the dark version, the one told in low voices. Hikers began reporting strange things, lights where there should have been none. Voices carried on windless nights, the feeling unmistakable that someone was standing just out of sight, watching from the stone. Not threatening, not welcoming, just there. Some claim the house had rooms no one could fully account for. Others say the interior changed, passageways remembered differently, doors that didn't lead where they should. Searchers tried to document it. Photographers tried to capture it, but evidence never quite lined up. Photos went missing. Coordinates didn't match. Directions worked once and never again, which leads to the question that still lingers. If the Redfield house were real, why was it so hard to find it twice? By the late 1970s, the house was gone, or said to be gone. Some insist it collapsed naturally, reclaimed by gravity and time. Others believe it was deliberately dismantled, and a few maintain it's still there, perfectly intact, just carefully hidden by the desert itself. Because the desert, as anyone who lives near it knows, doesn't erase things, it absorbs them. And there are no official records, no permits, no verified remains, just stories passed between climbers, hikers, and old-timers who swear they saw it once, but never again. And maybe that's the point. The Redfield house sits at the intersection of fact and folklore, where isolation meets imagination, a reminder that not every mystery needs a resolution to be real. Some places don't want to be mapped. Some stories don't want to be finished. And some houses aren't meant to be found twice. Thank you for joining us here today on the Wonder Files. If you ever find yourself wandering Arizona's backcountry and feel watched by the stone itself, don't panic. Remember, the desert keeps its own secrets. I'm Mary Trainer. Thank you for being with us today.